So calling this work session to order, and everyone's reviewed the items. So we're going to have Delegate Washington come on this evening just to give us an update, legislative update. And my understanding is that it will be a PowerPoint. We haven't heard from our delegate in a while, so thought it was a great idea if he came on. He wanted to come on in April, but that didn't provide him enough time. So now that they're not in session anymore, he can give us that wonderful update. And then we're also going to have Megan from the Anacostia ATHA, and she'll give us an update as well, a brief update. And she's new. How long has she been here, Mr. Barnes? Do you know?
Just maybe a little over a month.
Yeah, she's brand new, but a great person, great person. And then we'll do our, we'll adopt our budget tonight, our 21.
Introduce it.
The introduction, I'm sorry, the introduction of our budget for 21-22. And we all reviewed it, gave our comments and all of that. So this is just the introduction of it, and I will turn that over to Mr. Barnes when we go through our meeting, unless there's something that you'd like to highlight about the budget right now, Mr. Barnes?
No, I think
we've gone through it many times.
Yeah, I think we've gone through it. We made all those changes. The major initiatives in the next year's budget is primarily focusing on continuing to upgrade the fleet with the police department, doing salary adjustments as needed for cost of living is included. And I think it's a frugal budget. We're not raising taxes again for about the 8th or 9th year. And we're being conservative with our revenue estimates. So no, I think y'all did a good job. Lots of good feedback and through the process.
Very good. And then we have many meetings to approve tonight. So I'm going to do them in blocks. So Mr. Barnes was kind enough to make some adjustments, and we'll just approve them according to the session: work session, closed session, regular session. The next item is the consideration of contract of employment between the town and our chief, who has been the interim, and tomorrow, effective 5/13, he will be our official chief. And so we'll approve the employment contract, or not approve, but I'm sure we're going to approve it. And then we will also, as soon as that is approved, I will go into the oath of office. This oath of office is the oath of office because he'll be starting tomorrow officially as our chief. But we will have another opportunity to bring in his family or whomever he'd like to bring in, so we can do the not official, but it's called the pomp and circumstance kind of swearing in. Everything is so disconnected because of Zoom and all of that, but I want to be able to swear him in face to face. Any questions, comments about that, Mr. Tuberville? Because you're the only one on.
I emailed just to
more
like clarification more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
One was I wondered if we might be able to put something in the contract that specifies standing up and running the police citizens advisory council.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second was just in the position description. I don't know how much, like if that's actually tied to the contract or not, but in the position description, there was just something about like, and the chief will patrol the town in his car.
Right.
And
yeah.
I thought that we might want to have something that was a bit more meaningful there about that, you know, the chief will spend a moderate amount of time in the community or something like that.
Yep. I agree with you on the wording on the description, and we can change that, of course, at any time. We can update that because it does say in the car, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the car. It could be it could be walking, just patrol the town. And the chief definitely mentioned to us that he does that anyway, and he
Right.
would. But I know it was important to us after some chiefs ago to have that in there. So thanks, we need to take out car, that's for sure, because it can be in any way they find creative. And the other, as far as the advisory council, I didn't feel that it was necessary to place in his contract because these are things that we require. So we can require that of the chief. We can inquire or require that of the chief without it even being in his contract, because there'll be some other things, Ms. Tuberville, as we go along that we'll find that are important. I know the Chief Advisory Council can be something that stays there, but it could be something else. This is already a requirement. He already knows that this is something that we want. And I just don't feel that it should be in the contract. That's not.
Mayor, you might, and Councilmember Tuberville, you might remember you passed a policy, Black Lives Matters. And in that policy, it requires a police advisory council.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was in there. I
Yeah,
didn't
that was
forget
one
about
of the
policy, but okay.
One of the requirements, absolutely.
Okay, well then, I'm good.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Great. And that was good for the not in the car always thing. So thank you. So let me go back to our agenda here. Stay up. And the next item. So the next item is the award to bid for audit services for a 3-year period ending June 30th, 2023, to the low bidder. And they used to be our auditors, correct? Mr. Barnes, they were our auditors prior to the great auditors that we have now.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah. And they were great anyway. They were very good auditors at the time. They came in at a lower bid. The auditors that we have now are pretty good as well. But I believe we'll be in a good place with this auditing firm. Any questions, comments? Very good. The amount is $34,200. And then the next item is the approval of the installation of digital signage at Sonico in the amount of $22,075. Now, this is not in stone, Ms. Tuberville. This is just the average quote. Is this the one place or this is the average quote? I think you said this is the one place that we went.
This is the only quote I got because this is the company that did Cottage Cities, doing Colmore Manor,
right.
Maryland Park and Planning throughout their facilities. So I forgot to ask Mr. Curley if they actually had a state contract bid, which they probably do, since they're doing all those locations for the state. But this was an estimate. He's also doing an estimate for here at Town Hall. The one at Sunoco would just be one face. So it would be just replacing what's there exactly with the new top, Town of Edmonston emblem, and then the digital component of it. And then here at Town Hall, the one he's putting together, it would be dual-sided. So if you're coming from either direction on the street, you would read it, and then it would redo the top of this one, which has got a old town seal that is long ago gone. And plus, we wanted to try to add on the police department logo emblem too. So he hasn't come back with that one yet. Obviously, it's probably going to be more. Because it is of the dual signage. He talked about the I don't know what he called it, some kind of the being able to see the light, like 16 point or 10 point or 12 point, it depended on that. You can spend more money and get it.
Oh, like a glare or something.
Yeah, like the
It'll take
ability
off the
to,
glare.
right. So anyway, you all had asked for this information, and so that's what it's here for.
Mhm. So, Mr.
Ron, I wonder if we could have a look at like what the mock-up of it is, just because I mean, it's going to be the main sort of like presentation of the town, like outwardly to the public. And
Yeah, it'll be exactly what's like there, only the part where the letters are there now will be digital. So they're using they're using those the brick sign base that's there and just replacing the insert.
Okay, so everything else it says, I forget what it says. I mean, it does look nice up there.
Edmonston at the top. Yeah.
Okay, and then that's okay. That's good. And then for the one that'll be at Town Hall, maybe we could have a discussion about the police logo on there, because the police logo is, I just don't feel like it's necessary. It's what the prior chief created, and it's kind of busy.
Yeah, that's the one they're doing a mock-up for you to evaluate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're right about that. I don't, they're trying to use the bases, but in this one, they've got to do a whole lot more different because the base is a funny size for some reason. It happens that the Sunoco one was a good size that fit exactly with being able to just replace the letterboard with a digital board.
Yeah.
Is it possible for us to find out the cost for a standalone? I don't know if we want to think about one that can be moved, or one that can be placed in a better location, sort of like in the Ward 1 area across the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
The one at the Sunoco, that's fine, and it'll be great if it's digital, because I think a lot of people miss it anyway. But if it's digital, I think it'll stand out a little bit more. That's one great thing. I guess this is the cost that they are. It's expensive. Even the one at Town Hall, because not everybody goes by 52nd.
Yeah.
But that'll be great for it to be digital as well, because at least they can see it. So we are talking about a higher cost, but to have it in a location that's more visible and, where people can really see what's happening. Because I also think that we put the information out on the marquee, but sometimes, I drive up and down Kenilworth every single day and I don't look at it. I look at it not for, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I do look at it. I look at it to.
I was going to correct you, Mayor, because you tell me.
I know. That's why I look at it. But I look at it for, to make sure we're updating it and all that other good stuff. But I want to make sure that, and I look at it to make sure we put what we're supposed to put on it. But people who are riding by,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're catching it. But I do believe electronically, because they'll have the colors and the brightness, they'll see it. But I feel that we should have it in another location. I don't know if you want to chime in, Chief, at all about your experience with the electronic signs or a location. I think the greatest location would be by the train tracks, but
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about that and that can't really happen. Right? Didn't we?
Well, it could go on our lot, but the issue with our lot there is when you're cresting the hill from the, coming into Edmonston, you're really worried about cars and pedestrians and everything else. I'm not sure you'd really want to be noticing a digital sign. If you're coming up the hill, if you're having to stop there and set for a train and stuff, that would be a great location. And you kind of notice it as you were going out of town, I think, better, don't you think?
Oh yeah, you would. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily notice it coming across the train track, that's for sure, because of the way it sits. But I just thought that was a good open place. But there may be something else. Chief, did you have something about the mobile, maybe a mobile sign? And Ms. Tuberville, I'm sorry.
No. I wanted to hear what the chief had to say. I have a couple thoughts, but I want to hear what he thinks first.
Thank you, Mayor. I was trying to get my.
We know,
voice
I
going.
get it.
I think we should take a look around and see if there's a more suitable location, because I believe that sign that sits adjacent to the Sunoco station, if you're going northbound on Kenilworth Avenue toward Riverdale Road, you don't see it. If you're coming up Decatur to Kenilworth, you don't see it. It's just, so I'm just saying we should look around and maybe come back again and talk about a list of locations. If we're going to be spending this money, then we want to ensure that it's a location where it's best serve our needs, up to including having a sign situated so that it moves. So if you're on Decatur and you're headed westbound toward Hyattsville, the sign is tall enough for you to see it regardless of which direction you happen to be driving. Because clearly the one that sits in front of the building, 52nd Avenue, if you don't happen to be coming or going, paying attention to it, you don't see it. And so, you know, having it well lit and in a good place needs to be, you know, examined. And then we all come back and say, okay, what location do you have? And, you know, you might want to drive somewhere and park and stand across the street from where we would propose a sign be erected and see, you know, if it's suitable and the size. A lot of these electronic signs, you can adjust the character such that it may go from, you know, 5 inches tall to almost 10 inches tall. And it revolves in such a way that it has multiple messages that come across the sign, which would be an advantage also, because if the letters are taller, it makes it easier to read, in addition to the location where we might decide would be better. So, you know, having had this conversation, we should come do our due diligence and then come back and say, okay, here's what I propose, up to and including taking pictures of the location so that you can kind of justify why, you know, the location you propose would be acceptable. That's, you know, that's my take.
The other issue, and the reason that these locations were proposed, is because electric service is there. We don't have electric service anywhere else. And so that cost would be additional wherever any other location that we would choose on Decatur or one of the other streets. So the reason that we chose these two first was because of that, partly because of that electrical service.
Could we look at doing like a solar powered sign or something so we don't have to worry about that? And then I'm wondering too, Rod and Avery, depending upon where you typically place signs for like events announcements and things of that nature, that might give us a pretty good indication of where like the utility is. Because I know like often, for instance, I know y'all put signs out in front of Veterans Park. And so I was thinking, if I don't know if we have this land or not, but the land that's just across the street on Decatur. Like,
yeah, I think the chief's idea to, you know, take pictures and look at locations is a good one. I think it's also good to, you know, that those movable ones that are tall, they are adjustable in height, so you can raise them if you're in a certain location or lower them, and then they operate off of solar is another great thing that gets away from the electrical issue.
Yeah.
So we don't own the land there where you're talking about, Sarah, but that doesn't mean we couldn't use it. It's park and planning.
oh, right. So if it's not a permanent structure.
Yeah, they would
Yeah.
probably be receptive to that. But yeah, we think our visibility, we always place at Veterans Park, at 52nd in Decatur, and at 46th in Decatur. That's typically where we put signs, temporary signs like the mayor's A-frames or
Right.
when we're sticking ones in the ground. At the rec center, we try to do one at Elizabeth's Landing also and on Kenilworth. But Chief is absolutely right. When you're coming down the hill on Decatur, you read the Sunoco sign just perfectly. Or if you like, he said, if you're going towards Lanesburg,
Southbound,
you read it just fine. But if you're coming the other direction, or if you're coming from this way, you don't catch it. So I think that's all good suggestions, and we certainly can go back and get more information and get some more options.
Yes, thank you for bringing this, Mr. Barnes. Mr.
Just
Vervillion, something else?
Well, just to clarify then, I'm wondering if we want to press pause on actually putting a digital sign in front of the town hall. Just given the cost of this,
we don't have to make a decision on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm questioning the utility of that, given
absolutely
the amount of traffic versus say, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. What our sign here just needs is an update. So that would be a whole lot less expensive than adding the digital component. And it just needs the top updated with the right. It's got a slogan on there that says something about the town with a heart. And I know that came from
what it used to be.
And we don't have a heart anymore. So
so maybe it's a bridging community that we put up there, different, that we use all the time. So I think those are all great things, and we'll bring that all back to you.
Thank you.
So thank you. Yeah, very good conversation, very good points that we need to consider. Thank you for your input. Thank you for bringing the pricing, because we needed pricing in order to know what we were dealing with. I don't think we really had anything before. So this is good for us to work on. And we're going to get some signs, or a sign. So thank you. The next item. So with this one, what we'll do is it'll just die, or do you want to remove it?
Yeah,
you want to remove it?
I would say just remove it at the beginning when you set the agenda.
We can do that. Thank you. And so the next item.
We don't want to move ahead with the sign at the Sunoco?
We probably need to just like we said, just look and see the better places to even, because just like he said at town hall, it just needs an upgrade. It could mean that the Sunoco sign needs an upgrade, but not necessarily digital. Digital wouldn't be bad to me.
Okay.
But you can only see it in one direction.
Okay.
Pretty much.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. Okay. So we should invest our money in a more visible location. Very good. And so, glasses. The next one is the introduction of ordinance to amend our annual budget. So it's coming to the end of our budget. So we need to move some money around. We've received some monies in, and Mr. Barnes, I'm going to refer this to Mr. Barnes. But in
we're not increasing our budget. We just simply move between line items that we actually hit. For instance, the demolition of the house over on Hamilton, we had to pay for that, obviously, and get reimbursed. So we didn't have that in the budget. So we moved the dollars to that line item. The police department had their wonderful tasers and computer equipment maintenance agreements hit. And so we had to cover those up. And so we moved that. So, it's our normal annual event where we wait. We can do that all during the year if we want, but it just seems simpler to do it at the end of the year in one activity.
Is it just those two items, Rod?
No, I mean, we're moving, you know, a number of line items, but those are the big
Okay.
items that we essentially had changes on that we didn't anticipate. The good thing is too, we had more revenue as a result of increased grant money coming in, so that's good.
Oh, the dog was happy about that. Go ahead, Ms. Tuberville.
I was wondering if any of the adjustments that we're making indicate to us that we might need to adjust our fiscal year 21-22 budget in any way.
No,
Okay.
no.
This is what generally happens towards the end of our fiscal year. When things come in late, you know.
No, I understand.
You know, the
Just meant
budget deal.
like sometimes if there is a
Huge.
difference, it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to budget for a little bit more for this in the following year.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
I try to take that into account when I present to you, as I kind of monitor that and see where we need to think differently as we budget something. So
Okay.
I think we covered that pretty good when you all get your proposed budget.
He's good. And so everything is good with that, Ms. Tuberville? If we have to vote on it in our open session, not in our open session, our regular session. The next item is Ms. Tiffany Green. And I'm so sorry that the rest of the council isn't here to hear her presentation, but we have been talking about the need of to push or brand Edmonston, to figure out some social media areas where we need to either step up or, you know, just to find out where we are pretty much as far as social media and meeting the needs of our community. So Ms. Tiffany Green is here and she's going to provide us a presentation on what she has discovered as far as our social media efforts. Ms. Green. Hi and welcome.
How are you? Thank you
Right now,
for having.
Yeah, right now we only have one council person here. The other three.
Thank you.
Yes. And please don't take offense to it. It wasn't because you were here with us tonight. But Ms. Tuberville and the other three, one is traveling, the other one's not feeling well. And Betsy has been trying to get on for a long time. I even text her. So, but move forward with it. We have this recorded, right? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Green.
And I'll try not to take up too much of your time. I do need the ability to share my screen if I could. It's saying it's disabled. But while I wait for that, again, just thank you so much for having me. My name is Tiffany Green. I'm a social media strategist and PR representative. I'm also a PG County Public School teacher. I teach special ed. So I'm a very busy lady, if you can imagine. But I do want to share some of my findings when I look through your social media and your outreach efforts.
Tiffany, let me see if I can get Rick to share your screen.
Sure.
I don't know if he's listening.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, can you share screens for Tiffany?
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good now. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is
Awesome.
mine small?
Awesome. Okay, so I was invited to speak with the social media team, the current team of the town of Edmonston by Mayor Gant. They identified the need to use social media marketing as a way to help engage the current residents of Edmonston to take advantage of some of the amazing opportunities and programming that you all have developed for them. So I first want to just give a kudos to the team for, first of all, having social media existing for your residents, and then also taking it a step further by wanting to look more critically at it so that it could be used to maximum benefit. You are absolutely moving in the right direction for your residents, as we have seen that the median age of Edmonston residents is 36 years old. 8 out of 10 American adults are currently receiving their news on a digital platform. And even to make that even smaller, 67% of adults 30 through 49 are receiving news on social media platforms. Social media is also a very efficient and cost-effective way to disseminate information, and even a safe way to disseminate information, seeing as that we all have just lived through this pandemic. We want to just keep our distance. And I know for those who are actually currently working on social media at this time, you may look at the last bullet and think efficient and cost effective. I want to roll my eyes, because social media planning and strategy can be very tedious, and it can take you away from what you may feel are some more pressing things. Luckily, there are apps and social media professionals to kind of help you navigate those things. So currently the town of Edmonston are using several channels, which is awesome because you're able to potentially capture more diverse residents. So currently they're using Facebook, which is still America's #1 social media platform. You have a YouTube page, which is the #2 platform in America. Instagram is #5. Constant Contact is a great tool for email dissemination and other campaigns. And then also a beautiful Town of Edmonston website, which is chock full of information and also has links to all of your social media sites, which is A++, good stuff. So before I could really get into analyzing what currently exists, my primary recommendation, and this comes from the team, is that I would suggest developing 1 to 3 community events with the sole purpose of getting resident followers to one of your current outreach channels. And I think a face-to-face approach would probably be best, because the team said that they receive the most resident information when they're at events or when they're going door to door. So that interfacing with people has been very effective in providing information. So when we have an event of this nature, instead of just, handing out a treat bag or a gift card or snacks, do a simple swap for that incentive. So in order to get the goodie bag, show me that you're following one of our current channels. You can also do an outreach survey at this type of event to let you know what platforms your residents prefer, because it makes no sense to try to maintain 5 or 6 platforms if you find that most of your residents only use 2. So that could be an option. Also at this event, you want to be able to create a log so that we can start to capture and record where our residents are seeing us, so we can keep a record and add to that record. And also, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So if there are new initiatives or events, you want to have that information at the ready at that event while you have an active audience. So I wanted to suggest inviting new residents, because it really truly does not matter how many bells and whistles or how great the page look if your audience is not there. So we absolutely need to get them there first. But to look at what you currently have existing, my first finding has to do with your audience snapshot. So you guys, kudos to you. You have a really good foundation for followers. Usually when I'm working with clients, they have 0 to 20 followers. So you already have a very strong foundation here. Facebook has 366, Instagram 206, YouTube has 18 subscribers. And I was most impressed, honestly, with Constant Contacts. We have 276 contacts. And of those 276, 187 are engaged contacts, meaning they either open emails regularly or frequently, which is awesome, because email communication sometimes tends to get lost. So this is working for you. The problems with the audience snapshot that I saw is that although your numbers are great, we have not yet been able to determine how many in that audience are actually Edmonston residents. So a possible solution to that problem, we know social media is a tool for communication. So we want to use that communication and just create the ask. So I would suggest creating resident roll call or resident roundup posts where you ask residents to self-identify. If you find that a simple ask doesn't work, you may want to up the ante and incentivize the ask or the identification. So I wanted to create an example and just show you what that may look like. And it could be just as simple as a quirky, fun graphic. And we want to make sure that we keep it fun and light, especially when we're asking folks to self-identify as a township, because we don't want them to think, oh, we're trying to summon you for a traffic ticket or something crazy, you know? So I wanted to keep it fun. You want to use a caption that states the ways that you want your residents to be called to action. So what wouldn't be good for something like this is to ask residents to, for example, put their address in the comment section. That's just not safe. But if you tell them explicitly how you would like to receive the information via a private message, that could work just fine. And it also keeps you a record. Lastly, you could take this a step further by using this as an opportunity to unite your neighbors in the comments section. So maybe not asking them for their whole address, but simply asking them for their street name. And then as people start to comment, they'll notice, oh, this person lives on my street, this person lives on my street. And it creates another opportunity for engagement, not just with you, but between the residents. So just simply ask. We can ask, you know.
Did we lose Tiffany?
There's a snapshot.
Tiffany, we lost you for about a minute.
Oh, okay. Did you lose me here?
Yes. Was it there?
Okay.
Was it? Yeah.
So we went through all that.
To the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right
Okay,
at the
awesome.
beginning.
There,
So you
yeah.
didn't catch the beginning of this, or you did?
The beginning of the next slide. That's what we missed.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, we just got to this slide, and I don't want to belabor this point. I just want to tell the team that I did send a more detailed report to the social media team, and they have this information. So I won't spend too long here. But the posting frequency ranges between 2 to 4 times a week on different platforms, especially Facebook and Constant Contact seem to be the most regular forms of outreach. And it's no coincidence that those are also have your highest level of engagement because you're engaging on them more often. So Instagram, I'm so happy to see an uptick in Instagram posting this week, but previously it was, you know, an inactive account for about a year or so, which is why the engagement score is the lowest. So that's kind of just the name of the game with social media. The more you feed it, the more you'll get from it. And that's kind of just seen with what you're currently doing. So I did identify that there's a lack of consistency across different platforms. So like I said, you have 2 shining stars and then 2 that are kind of just not used as frequently. Ways to attack this is to create strategic social media posting guides and anchor them with either a monthly theme, purpose, or outcome each month, okay? You can also use social media management tools such as Hootsuite, Lumi, or Later to help make posting even across the board. And rule of thumb is just to always try to plan out your initiatives 30 days ahead. And I'm sure you guys know that you're always planning things. So what might that look like? This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. So although you're going to be continuing to post certain items such as like your town hall meetings and initiatives that you have going on, when you change the theme each month, you can now link what you currently have going on with a monthly theme. So if you anchor initiatives to mental health, for example, if you have COVID updates, I saw you have this lovely yoga in the park initiative that's going on, or a new announcement to the police chief, you want to post those things with a mental health angle. You can also provide related resources for whatever your theme is for the month. This is a great time to highlight existing county resources that have maybe already existed, but people just don't know. It's a great time to highlight them. You can also create a live engagement session around the monthly theme with like a community check-in, have a mental clinician come in, have residents come on and really just have a mental health talk. And you can also create events that connect to whatever your theme is for the month. And of course, I just use mental health as an example because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Finding number 3 is probably the most detailed, which is why most of it is in the report, but it's about your content, captions, and hashtags. So currently you mostly post resident and event photos, videos, event flyers, and then solicitation or invitation to different initiatives or meetings that the town is having. The problem with the captioning is detailed in the report, but you all, from what I have seen, are such personable, fun people. I've laughed several times just in this meeting, but that doesn't always come through in the captions. And if we're trying to really build resident pride and we really want to have a resident following, putting your heart on that sleeve that you have is a great thing to do in your captions. Also, the way the current hashtags we're using are not specifically drawing new traffic, and there's more soliciting than offerings. So possible solutions for that are to create more call to actions with your captions, which can be explained in more detail to the team. Using interest-driven hashtags is so important. So I know that you use the hashtag of Edmonston, Maryland, or Edmonston Pride, and that's only going to draw people that are looking for that specific hashtag. So we want to use interest-driven hashtags to get more residents interested. You also want to follow the 3 gives, 1 take rule for posting. You want to give 3 offerings before you ask anything of your residents, okay? So what might that look like? So I saw you have this beautiful free yoga initiative going on. So a possible caption could sound like this. Calling all Edmonston yogis, don't miss this free opportunity for guided yoga in the park. Yoga is a great way to positively engage your mind and body. Tell us your favorite position and leave a yogi emoji if you feel like meeting us in the park. So notice I've created 2 calls for engagement. I've asked them to comment and I've asked them to leave an emoji. That may not seem like much, but it goes towards your activity stats. The more people engage with one particular post, the more visible your brand is. Also, if you notice in the hashtags, I've put things such as yoga, outdoor fitness, mental health awareness, meditation, because most social media channels work very much like a Google search engine. So if you're looking for yoga, if you're interested in yoga and you type it in the search and your location is closest to Edmonston, even if you're not a resident, your posts will come up, and which will draw more people to this post. Not only more people to this post, but more people who are particularly interested in this post. Finding number 3 pertains to your original branding materials. So for now, I see that you have original event flyers, photos, beautiful video production from some of the examples I saw, and then some great e-talks that are on YouTube. So there is some branding, but there's not a true like Edmonston logo that's for residents. And I think that is a lost opportunity to perhaps build resident pride and attachment. Also, the video production, whoever produces your videos, they are very talented, and I would just love to see more of that. With sites such as TikTok on the uptick, people are looking for more visual content, more video content. So that would be a nice add-in for you guys. So I would try to create a new resident logo, even if you would have to keep your township seal. I would try to make a logo that's specifically for the residents and use posting templates to promote it. Also, maybe allow residents to participate in their logo selection to create more engagement with them and, just more ownership for them. And then also determine a monthly visual staple. So I love these e-talks. I love the information that's given here. If that is something that could be done more often or on a more routine basis so that people could anticipate it, I think that could really elevate it and bring return traffic to the page because they know, oh, on the third Thursday of every month, they're doing this great thing. So I just put some examples of posting templates that create brand identity. So the colors and the fonts are similar so that when people are scrolling through, they automatically know, oh, that's an Edmonston post. Let me take a look at that. Also, if you create unique logos for the Edmonston residents, this creates pride. It also creates a merchandising opportunity because you could turn these into t-shirts, hats, cups, and everywhere they go, they'll know that they're a resident of the town of Edmonston, which is really cool. Additional suggestions, and we're almost at the end here. I really suggest creating an outreach survey so you can eliminate, either eliminate or increase or
Tiffany, we lost your
Tiffany, you
audio.
went out again. Thanks, Mr. Bill. Tiffany. Miss Green.
And I think she's so smart for wanting that because WhatsApp is a great catch-all.
Miss Green, can you go back? Can you go back to creative? Yeah, and right after that, because we lost you again.
I'm sorry. Okay. So these are my last suggestions to create the outreach survey so that we can identify our residents' preferences. And that may even cause us to eliminate some of the social media that we're using, making it a little bit easier on us. I would also explore some other platforms, primarily WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is going to be a catch-all channel for those who do not like social media, who are not invested in email. Everyone has a cell phone or some Wi-Fi, and you can catch them with WhatsApp using their cellular device. Also, if you're interested in exploring or engaging with your younger audience, TikTok is, of course, the next wave and the most trending app for youth. And then as a team, I would decide on a 90-day budget for social media outreach initiatives. And the reason being is because as a social media professional, although I have a price list and a rate that I work from, no pricing for a social media campaign is the same because everyone's resources, creativity, initiatives are very different. The needs are different. So as you are thinking about a social media budget, some things you want to consider are the fact that you'll need graphic design materials, some logo design and template designs. You'll need to consider how often you'll be needing videography and photography. Post promotion on these platforms can range between $5 and $95 a week. I don't know if it's going to be very effective for your audience because you want the residents. And what these do is they really try to reach outside of your network to bring others in. Social media professional and training staff. So if you decide to go with a social media professional like myself, I would start with a 30-day campaign, or I could train the staff to learn some of these techniques and then they could run the campaign. You also want to consider incentives and giveaways, especially in the very beginning when we're trying to grow our followers. Like I said, you need some incentive-based asks and some giveaways to be able to excite people and engage them. And then if you decide that you want to use posting aid apps so that your hands are free and you can just program this to disseminate information as you want it, that is something that starts at about $25 a month. So these are just some things you want to consider when you're thinking about social media. But I think so far you guys are doing a great job. There's obviously, of course, always room to grow. But I think you're headed in the right direction.
Miss Green, thank you. I mean, I want to applaud you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I believe I believe I'm going to let the council speak, but I believe that this is what we've been looking for a long time. You brought out some good points. You've really gone through our social media. You've dissected us, it appears, and that's a good thing. And we just need some direction. And I thank you for your suggestions that you even placed in your presentation. I think you just laid it out very well, and I thank you for that. And so I want to open it up for council to go ahead and ask any questions or make any comments. And also what she called our social media team. We don't have one for real in Edmonston other than, well, I'm not taking anything away from you, Mr. Barnes or Miss Avery, but you know, she did give us that. Yeah, she gave us that little clout there, social media team. So thank you. And thank you for the shout out to our Rick Steel Peach production. He does all of that as along with Miss Gray. So thank you for that. Go ahead, council members. And also staff, whatever questions, comments you have as well, because you're going to be, you know, you're going to be doing it really, right? Mr. Barnes and Miss Avery and even Christiana. But go ahead, Ms. Turville.
I echo what the mayor said, Tiffany. This is fabulous. You know, this is, and it is a niche area. I mean, you know, a lot of like my organization, you know, we have like a digital media team. So, you know, and a person whose whole job is dedicated to working across our social media platforms, not including YouTube, because we have a separate person for that. So like, I know this stuff is hard and it's different. And but this kind of audit for us, I think, is really valuable. And I have a couple questions. Given that we are on, so we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and you were also including Constant Contact, right?
Yes.
Do you think it might be, you know, given the level of engagement, that it might be useful for us to turn to maybe just to focus on Facebook and Constant Contact right now and sort of maybe work on like a 90 campaign to sort of grow those two lists so we've got more resident subscribers to each of them?
I think that could be very beneficial, especially because already the two most active platforms that you have. So if we drive traffic to those platforms, they have a wealth of resources and archives so they can actually go back and see what you've already done, because you've done great work there. And it makes it a lot easier for the social media team to manage 2 than 4 or 5 platforms. So I think that's a solid idea, as long as you have residents that are interested in going to those platforms.
Okay. And I forgot my second question, so you come back to that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, it's late. It's okay.
That's cool. It's staff, to include the police chief. If you have any questions or comments for Ms. Green while Ms. Turberville gets her second question in her head.
This is Avery. I'd like to thank you, Tiffany. I
Yeah, no
think
problem.
you gave us a lot of food for thought. And I particularly like that there are programs that you can target and get out information to more than one platform at a time, which would be very helpful given that the team is limited with our resources. However, but there are ways to try to work around the limited resources and still get the information out. So
There are, and they're pretty cost effective. Like I said,
Yeah.
they're starting at about $25 a month. You can operate up to 4 for that amount and up to 60 days out. So you really can't beat that.
That's very
Constant-
helpful, and that would be very useful, I think. But
The constant contact automatically goes out to, I think it's 4 platforms free as part of your cost. So it's already going out to Facebook for us. So whenever we post on Constant Contact, it goes to Facebook. So, your comments about the captions and the capturing the audience and that kind of thing really are applicable, particularly as Sarah said, if we concentrated on those 2 platforms until we find out what people are really using. Because I still think that's the secret. What are people actually looking at and are engaging with? If we have 187 people on Constant Contact, how many of them are residents and how many of them are people in the region that we have signed up for receiving those things? And so we don't know that. And same way with Facebook, how many of our Facebook are actually residents of the town? What I think you did an outstanding job. What you described here is a part-time job. And so the difficulty that we have is trying to balance this between our existing staff and getting the maximum bang. And that's what you helped identify a lot with that graph that you did there and showed the different options. So that was very helpful, because while we can throw some dollars at hiring somebody to do some stuff, in the end, it's really down to our existing staff to try to manage the social media program.
I think coupled with that would be helpful to, if once we identify the platforms most useful, how do we drive others to them? So if we're finding that the Constant Contact and Facebook are really more useful for folks, but others who may use several others, how can we also then perhaps drive those people to the ones that work best for us in terms of our resources to get this information out, and in terms of volume of people who use it most?
Yeah, everything can be an initiative. I love a good raffle, I love a good referral program. Those are good driving forces. So I love a raffle because you can get participation from many people, and you only have to reward a few people, but everyone feels they have the chance to do so. So it's a very cost-effective way. And also refer a buddy to Facebook or Constant Contact could also be helpful. So all initiative-based things.
One of our problems, Tiffany, is we offer incentives all the time when we post out. And so I really think that your other point is more important than because we're offering incentives. You can get a strawberry shortcake or a pizza or a whatever. But if we're not doing the right captions and the right look and the right feel, that people grab it and they just ignore it, because we all get so many emails in a day. And if that Constant Contact comes out and it doesn't have a good caption or a good heading, then I just ignore it. Okay, I'm not going to open that, and I may miss that incentive. That raffle that might get me something. So we've done lots and lots of those, but we get very little participation from our social media world. And so I think your idea about, doing a 30-day or a 60-day or something program where you come in and you really teach us those kind of things that, make it attractive. I love that wanted thing that you did, that little example. I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Or some of those things, because we do have good stuff. We have great people. We have great people working on that behind the scenes. Besides Avery and Christiana, we have our former town clerk Shantae that does a lot of our flyers and activities. So I really think our effort is going to have to be to pull somebody in to give us some more good guidance and instruction, because I think, like you said, the foundation's there. We just got to figure out how to get the people responding to that foundation.
Absolutely. And it's definitely a science, and there definitely are tricks to the trade,
Mhm.
things that just, they work. So, and I do offer training. So I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Good,
That
good,
really
good.
helps once you
I think that
understand it.
training would be very important to help us in guiding the strategy and also the frequency, so that given all that we do, that we're hitting it with the amount of frequency that's needed to grab attention, but doesn't become a full-time thing for us, but it does become more effective in how we're creating the language within these strategies and the frequency in which they go out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Anyone else? Any other comments?
I mean, oh, my question, Tiffany, was whether, sorry, my dog has something to
Okay.
say. There must be another dog walking down the street right now. Is to, like, what I don't know is, like, for our police department, right? If it would be useful to kind of fold in any, maybe we already do this and I'm just completely not aware of it, but
Can you come closer, Ms. Tuberville?
if we can
We're
fold
losing
in,
you.
is this better?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. If we can fold in any kind of social related to the police department, right? Or if that needs to be its own separate branding. I'm wondering if Tiffany has any thoughts on that we've got.
I don't know how often the police entity would need to be promoting or marketing. I'm just not aware. So I really can't say one way or another right at this moment. But I don't know if they would need to post as frequently as the town.
Just about. It's according to how, and Chief, you can chime in. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Chief. Our new chief.
First of all, Ms. Green, I want to thank you for taking the time to put that presentation together for this group. It was a very well thought out process. I do those things all the time, so I know how long it takes. I put together maybe 200-300 of them, so I understand. To answer your question, one of the things I've been doing for the past 5 months is looking at other towns and cities to see how they do their business and how they incorporate the police department, public works, and other departments into their social media platform. And I'll give an example. Hyattsville is about 5 blocks up Decatur Street from where our town line is. And they have something 2 or 3 times a day that goes up, which allows individuals who happen to see it to have some comment, you know, and it stays positive. It's got to stay positive. But anything that if the officers stop by and get a muffin from a store on Route 1, they talk about the muffins were good, and it generates conversation talking about the food. So you have to start somewhere. And if there's an event, regardless of how small or how large it is, it should get discussed. And it will automatically generate conversation. We have the distinction of having a large population of Hispanic residents. And so that element, Spanish and the culture, has to be incorporated into anything that we do. Because if those who would, be accepted at a friend request, they may want to speak in Spanish, or they may have some things that are important to them. We who are in the town government may not even understand. And so we have to consider that when we talk about putting something out that would be attractive where we would get responses, because if we limit our thought processes to what we believe is, bringing folk in, we'll miss the mark. It has to be very broad, and this conversation should include several of our residents and others who do business in our town to make it attractive and worthwhile. If we can do that, we'll be ahead of the game. So that's
Chief, are you
my,
trying to take my job or something? That was on the money, Chief. It really was. And I spoke with Mayor Gant about the number of Hispanic residents and wondered about the representation, because you're absolutely right. It has to be meaningful and inclusive to that audience. It's a large audience and a large number of our residents. So I absolutely agree with you there.
thank you. All right, man.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much for your comments. And I think when I spoke with Ms. Tiffany, I told her that we do have a team, our multicultural group, that we really haven't done a whole lot. So this would be great. So thank you, Chief, for your comment. And it'll be good to get their feedback from that. So if there aren't any more comments, kudos, or edits to what Ms. Green presented, I'd like to thank you so very much for this. This is what we needed. And going forward, I don't know if, I have both council members on right now. So are you looking to go forward with what Ms. Green has presented, and maybe we can talk about contract or.
Mayor, I think we could, this is great, but I think now we go back and get to those fine details and bring back to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to get Mr. Barnes a comment from the council. I hear what you're saying. I know where you're going.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Barnes. I just want to get that feedback from the council before we go back to that next phase. I got you.
Well, I guess I'm just, go ahead, Betsy. I've been.
I didn't want to cut you off.
Conversation.
Mr. Barnes.
You've done good so far. I say, we continue, discuss it, and to me, it looks great. So.
Yeah, my question is, since we're in the, right here at the beginning of creating the budget for the next fiscal year, if we want to, to me, it might make sense to create a line item that is dedicated specifically to a 90-day action plan or something like that, so that we can dedicate a specific amount of funds to this.
Okay.
Yeah, at the outset of the year. I think that would be good for us. Because in the end, my hope is that this is going to make Avery and Rod's jobs a little easier, because you won't be having to go door to door with postcards you won't as often, at least. And when we start doing that at the beginning of this plan, right, we can build in some incentives that ask for a trade of information, right? Do the things that Tiffany had suggested, train up our staff, and maybe build in a way to bring in a consultant for a period of time to get all this going for us.
You're going to have to do something about that earpiece. You have to either clip it closer to you or something.
I'm also a low talker, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, you said you're not really a talker?
I said I'm a low talker. I said I'm a low talker.
Oh yeah, you are. I agree with that. I thought you said you're not a talker. I was going to correct you with that, but go ahead. Yep, love her. Go ahead, Ms. Tuberville.
So I'm just wondering how I would like to propose that, but I'm not sure where in the process we are for.
Where we are financially in that area of social media.
Yeah, or for amending the budget that we were going to.
Right, do we need to or not?
Yeah.
I think Mr. Barnes is looking at that, and we'll find out. So that's good. So that's your proposal, that if we do need to place some more funds in that area somewhere, that we do so, because this is something that we definitely need. in order to make our real social media team, Mr. Barnes, Ms. Avery, and Christiana, their life a little easier for training purposes and so on. Just give me a nod because you're muted. Thank you. And as well, Ms. McCauley. Thank you. All right. And so, Mr. Barnes, I know you got that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Tiffany, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for your presentation, and we will definitely be in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was fabulous. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right. So we have the review of our summer events, but we can do that when we are in our town meeting. That's the next item, and I'll call upon Ms. Avery to do so, if that's all right, Mr. Barnes.
Yes,
For the
I
review of
think
events.
I saw where Delegate Washington and his staff is on, so we want to obviously move on to the meeting.
Yeah. So just if oh, I see Ms. Ferguson is here as well, and if we're going to go ahead and take a